The year was 1997, and a man was on the verge of total ruin. Hopeless and seeing no way out, he sat before a pile of bills that seemed to scream the end of everything he had ever built. With trembling hands and a heavy heart, he opened the Bible at random, a last, silent plea to the universe, and his eyes fell upon a deceptively simple verse. 3 words, just 3, but they held a power he had never understood until that very moment. Words that seemed to whisper not just a promise, but a calling. And right there, without ceremony, he chose to trust. He closed his eyes, repeated those words in a low voice, and felt an almost imperceptible shift begin within him. Within a week, a miracle occurred. It wasn't a coincidence. It wasn't luck. It was something greater, deeper, something most people spend their entire lives ignoring or underestimating. Do you want to know what those 3 words were? Do you want to understand why they completely altered that man's destiny and why they can change yours as well? Perhaps you're facing your own form of bankruptcy today, not necessarily financial, but emotional, spiritual, or in your relationships. Maybe you've tried so many things, so many formulas, so many empty promises, yet you still feel that life hasn't opened up to you as it should. What if I told you there is a forgotten key, hidden in plain sight for centuries, left in the world's most read pages precisely to be found by those who are ready? That this key isn't a complicated technique, not a secret formula from modern gurus, but something that comes from the very heart of the Creator? Today we will walk through this discovery together. But I must warn you, the final revelation of this video is the most powerful of all, and it is there that everything will make sense. Every word you hear from now on will prepare the ground for that final moment. It's no accident that you are here right now. Nothing is a coincidence when it comes to manifestation. Something greater has guided you to this very second, and that in itself is a sign that you are ready to hear what thousands have ignored out of fear, disbelief, or simply not knowing where to look. As you follow this story and begin to reflect on your own life, allow yourself to imagine, what if there were a way to align your mind, your heart, and your faith with what the universe, or, as the Bible itself reveals, the Creator, has already prepared for you? What if the barriers that seem insurmountable today were actually walls of smoke, about to vanish before a new understanding? You don't need to believe in empty promises or follow methods that feel artificial. What I am about to share comes from something greater than us, but it was left here for us to use, the Word. And speaking of using it, before we continue, I want to invite you to take the first step in this transformation. Click the link in the first pinned comment and see how you can begin to activate this manifestation practically in your daily life. It's simple, but it will expand this experience in surprising ways. Do it now, because every detail you discover here will be amplified when you put it into practice. Now, let's continue. Take a deep breath. Remember the story we started with. An ordinary man, a moment of crisis, 3 words. Words that not only changed his financial destiny, but also restored his hope, his faith, and his sense of purpose. That's the point. True manifestation, the kind rooted in biblical teachings, isn't just about attracting things, but about restoring what the Creator has already dreamed for you. And that's why, with each minute of this video, you will realize we're not talking about something external, but a seed that is already inside you, waiting for the right time to sprout. Do you want to discover what these words are? Do you want to feel their impact, not just in your ears, but in your heart, your mind, and especially in your results? Then stay with me until the end, because when you reach the final revelation, you won't just understand what these 3 words are. You will feel as if you are standing before a map that finally shows the route to the life you've always desired but never knew where to begin building. That night in 1997 was just the beginning of a journey many still don't fully comprehend. The man who opened the Bible in desperation never imagined that 3 words, so simple yet so powerful, could change not only his financial situation, but the entire course of his life. These words are not magic formulas or enchantments. They carry something much deeper, a divine principle that connects humanity to what we call manifestation, what many now know as the law of attraction, but which was written long before it became a modern concept. And today, you will finally know what those words are. Imagine the feeling of reading a text you've seen countless times, but suddenly seeing a truth in it that was always hidden, like a coded message waiting for someone to look with eyes of faith. That's what happened that night. The three words that leaped out at him were, ask, believe, receive. Simple, isn't it? And yet, how many times have you lived without putting this perfect cycle into practice? How many times have you asked but not believed? How many times have you believed but never opened yourself to receive? And how many times have you not even dared to ask, thinking you weren't worthy, didn't have the right, or that God was too busy to hear your voice? Ask, believe, receive. It sounds straightforward, but each of these words carries a depth that can transform how you relate to God, to yourself, and to the life you want to manifest. Ask, because there is a spiritual principle in the act of declaring what you desire. When you ask, you set emotion in action. The Bible itself says, ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened to you. How many times have you silenced your requests for fear of seeming selfish, or because you've heard so many no's that you've given up trying? But asking isn't just opening your mouth. Asking is aligning your desire with your intention. It's telling the universe and the Creator, I know there is more prepared for me. The second word, believe, is where many falter. It's not enough to ask if inside you there are doubts screaming louder than your faith. Believing is a state of trust. It is the invisible bridge between what you desire and what you cannot yet see. It is closing your eyes and knowing you have already been answered, even if circumstances say otherwise. That man from 1997 had no external sign that his situation would change. The debts were still there, the deadlines were looming. But he decided to believe. He decided to act as if he had already received. And it was this act of faith that activated the unseen movement that brought about the change. And then comes the third word, receive. This might be the most challenging of all, because it requires you to open up. Many people ask and even believe, but when the blessing arrives, they reject it, feeling unworthy, thinking it's not enough, or not recognizing the form it came in. Receiving is more than extending your hands. It is a state of anticipated gratitude. It's living as if it were already a reality. And here is a secret almost no one tells you. True receiving doesn't just happen when the thing manifests physically. It begins inside you, when your mind and heart say yes, even before you see the result. These three words, ask, believe, receive, are not just a casual suggestion, they are a spiritual law. They are aligned with what Jesus himself taught when he said, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. This isn't theory. It's pure spiritual practice. So why do so many people see no results? Because they ask disconnectedly. They believe with their mouths, but doubt with their hearts. And when life tries to deliver, they don't recognize the gift. Now pause for a moment and look at your own life. In what area have you been asking, but not truly believing? What dream do you believe in, but have never felt worthy of receiving? Perhaps what separates you from what you desire most isn't a lack of opportunity, but a lack of alignment with this simple and profound principle. And it doesn't matter if it's financial prosperity, emotional healing, the restoration of a relationship, or the peace you so desperately seek. The process is the same. Ask with clarity, believe with confidence, and receive with gratitude. This is where many go wrong. They ask with fear. They ask with anxiety. They ask almost like someone tossing a coin into a well and walking away. But the Bible doesn't speak of asking like that. It speaks of asking as a child who knows they have a loving father. It speaks of asking with the certainty that the universe was created to respond to vibrations aligned with faith. And when you ask with this awareness, you already start to vibrate differently. Things begin to move. Doors that have been locked for years start to unlock. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but what if I've already asked and nothing happened? That's the question that paralyzes so many. And here's the truth. Maybe you asked, but you didn't truly believe. Maybe you believed, but you continued to feed words of scarcity, doubt, and despair. Or maybe you asked and believed, but never allowed yourself to receive. Because deep down, you still judge yourself too small for such a blessing. From today, I want you to start practicing these 3 words as a cycle, not as a single request lost in the wind. When you wake up, declare what you desire, but declare it with clarity, with intention. Visualize it. Feel it as if it were already real. Then, strengthen your belief. Feed your mind with promises that sustain your faith. Distance yourself from the noise that says it's impossible. And finally, begin to receive even before you see it. Act as if it's already yours. Smile, give thanks, celebrate every small sign, because the signs always come before the full manifestation. The man from 1997 didn't just recover his financial life. He rebuilt his family, restored his health, and years later said that moment was the turning point, because he finally understood that biblical manifestation isn't about controlling the future, but about aligning with the divine purpose already written for you. When you ask, you awaken. When you believe, you plant. And when you receive, you harvest. Perhaps today is your moment to awaken. Perhaps you've come this far because, like that man, you too need a new chance. The words are before you. The choice is yours. Continue trying alone, or decide today to live by this law that has always been in the scriptures. Ask, believe, receive. Repeat these words. Feel them. They are not a spell. They are a reminder that God's universe is abundant and responds to hearts aligned with faith. And as you reflect on this, remember, there are practical ways to start this change right now. Click the link in the first pinned comment and see how to apply these principles daily without complicated effort but with profound impact. Don't postpone this decision. It could be what separates the you of today from the you who finally experiences what you've always dreamed of. Now, stay with me until the end of this video, because there is still something you need to hear. Because even knowing the words, many still don't apply them correctly. And in the final revelation I will show you, you will realize that the secret lies not just in the words themselves, but in how you live them. That is the key that closes the circle and makes the promise come true. Want to know what it is? Then stay with me, because this is where the change truly begins. Now that you have heard every detail, that you have walked with me on this journey that began with the story of a man on the brink of ruin and ended with a revelation that can change not just a destiny, but an entire reality, it is time to look within. Not as someone seeking an external secret, but as someone who finally understands that the keys have always been available, waiting for the right moment to be used. Ask, believe, receive. 3 simple words. Yet they carry a spiritual dynamic that can dissolve years of blockages, doubts, and limitations. Perhaps right now you are feeling something difficult to explain. A mix of hope and disbelief, a desire to believe, but also that old habit of doubt that always whispers, "These things don't work for me." And that is precisely why the final revelation of this video needs to resonate strongly within you. It is not enough to know the words. You must live by them. Knowledge without application is like a seed kept in a drawer. It holds potential, but it will never bear fruit until it is planted. If there is one lesson that the life of that man from 1997 teaches us, it is that miracles don't happen to the most prepared, the wealthiest, or the most intelligent. They happen to those who decide to trust. He didn't have all the resources. He didn't have all the answers. But he had something you also have right now. the opportunity to choose to believe in something greater than the momentary situation. He asked, even without guarantees. He believed, even in the face of the storm. And he received, not because the world magically changed around him, but because his inner posture changed first. Biblical manifestation always begins within us. Always. How many times have you been so close to something good and not realized it? How many opportunities have passed you by because fear spoke louder? How many signs did you ignore because you expected the change to come from the outside, when in fact it was asking for permission to begin inside of you? Ask, believe, receive, not as an empty mantra, but as a way of life. Ask with clarity, not with desperation, but with the confidence of one who knows they are a child of God. Believe without setting conditions. Don't wait until everything feels perfect to believe. Start believing even when everything seems chaotic. And receive before you even see, because faith is not waiting for the result to give thanks. It is giving thanks while you are still on the path. You might be asking, but what if I fail? What if I ask and it doesn't come? What if I believe and nothing changes? And I tell you, manifestation doesn't fail. It responds to what you become. If today you begin to align your mind, your speech, and your actions with these 3 words, the world might not change in the blink of an eye, but you will change. And when you change, everything that was once misaligned begins to reorganize. People arrive, doors open, ideas emerge, paths are illuminated. The Bible never promised an absence of process, but it always promised that all things would work together for the good of those who love God and trust in Him. Therefore, the decision you make now matters more than anything that lies behind you. You can choose to continue living as before, waiting for something to fall from the sky, or you can choose to activate these words in a living, conscious way. Imagine what your life would be like in 6 months if every day you asked with faith, grew in belief, and made space to receive. It's not just about material possessions, although they are also part of life's flow, but about peace, clarity, direction. It's about feeling once again that you are on the right path, that life is not a series of accidents, but a response to what you decide to vibrate and believe. Now is the time to act. You already know that asking is the first step, but don't wait until you feel ready to begin. Start today. Ask for what you desire with a sincere heart, not just for what you want to impress others with. Believe not just with words, but by feeding that faith every day. Remember that faith comes by hearing, so listen to things that strengthen your confidence, read words that nourish your soul, and receive without fear. Don't expect the blessing to come exactly as you imagine, because often it arrives disguised as a new beginning, an unexpected change, an opportunity that wasn't on your radar. As you reflect on all this, I want to reinforce something very important. This video can be a milestone, but it is not the end of the journey. It is an invitation to experience a more aligned, more abundant life, more connected to the principles that have been in the Word for centuries. Don't let this message be just another piece of content you consume and forget. Come back here. Listen again if you need to. Share it with someone you know who needs a breath of faith. And before we conclude, make a practical choice. Go to the first pinned comment now and click the link. This isn't just any detail. It's an extension of this experience, something that will help you not just to hear, but to practice. Don't put it off, because transformation begins in the now. If this content spoke to you, if it awakened something in your heart, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. This is how you keep this message alive, how you help it reach more people who, just like you, are ready to live a new chapter. Your life doesn't have to remain an echo of the past. It can be the living manifestation of ancient promises that have finally found room to blossom. And it all starts with 3 words: ask, believe, receive.